This is a strobe light. This is a constant light. One I use for video, the other I create projects around, experiment with, and see as one of the most important things for a photographer to have in their arsenal. I always want to shoot with my DSLR day or night, but I'll be honest, low light isn't where my Prismfinder shines the brightest. I love taking photos on the run, but I never want to neglect studio photography, especially with the lifestyle photos that I really enjoy and want to take more of. In this video, I'll be describing to you how important a strobe light is for my fun and airy photos when I pair it with my DSLR. And there's one other piece that, if you're willing to shell out a little bit more money, can take your photos to the next level. But I'll talk about that later. This is the Godox AD600 Pro, and it was actually a big piece of me shooting my photo project show and tell. Let me show you a few videos to jog your memory. Starting off with pictures of Marlena. All of these photos are going to have the same settings in camera. And then I adjust the power on my strobe light slightly just to figure out what's overexposed or underexposed. So for shutter speed, I'm always at around 250 or 200 because of the sync speed and making sure that it properly shows up on camera. When we go through some of my favorite photos, I really love the photos with the painting canvas that is fully filled with swatches of color. When it comes to those pastel colors, of course that's editing in Lightroom and post, but how bright I set my strobe light is also a big factor of what makes it look like this. One comfort that comes with this particular flash is that its load time or reload time for each flash is actually pretty good. You can snap away and not have too much of a problem with a miscommunication between one and the other. Moving to Angel's photo shoot, it's quite similar. Once again, using that light on one side versus the other, only having one strobe light, using the settings that I said before of 250 for the shutter speed, and for these photos it was much closer to a f-stop of 11. Of course, that loans me to have to put more power into each photo that I take there. And I use the same settings for Gio's graduation photos. This is one of the instances where I wish I had two lights just because I didn't like the shadow on his back, and then also I could not find my reflector to save my life to have that extra light bleed back in to the photo. So after all that, how much does this strobe cost? Looking back, it actually cost $600. And that's not including the wireless transmitter. That's another $70. That can only be used for one system, meaning if it has an N, it's Nikon. If it has an S, it's Sony. So this costs a nice amount of money. But with the Godox name and the quality I've gotten out of this strobe light so far in my use cases, I wouldn't say that it necessarily is worth the $600. It's more the fact, will I use it enough to make it worth it? But the safety of the name and the promise makes me a little bit more comfortable that it will. If you're trying to buy a strobe light yourself and the name isn't too much of a worry for you, then you can buy the Neewer Vision 4, which comes with a transmitter that seems to work with every camera, has a pretty good refresh rate, great power. Overall, it's really good, especially for the budget. It's about $200. When it comes to limitations, there's only one thing that I can personally think of, because there's other options that are more compact but just as powerful. The barrel is just a little long. So in those tighter spaces, it's a little bit harder to use it, especially when there's such great options like the A10 or others from Profoto that get the price super high up but are much smaller. The one thing that I haven't been showing you and speaking about, that's that secret weapon, it's a light box. A light box can completely shape how your photo is exposed and how soft it'll look, how harsh it will look. The one that I use specifically is the 49-inch white umbrella from Elinchrom that costs about $170. Yes, this is rather costly. Especially if you're getting the Neewer, because it's almost the same price as the flash itself. But I promise you, this makes a big difference. After seeing these photos, let me know if you think you're still thinking about a strobe light.